Oh, I think I'm live. So here I am. Hi, Cindy. Um, it's been so long, it took me a little while to figure out my usual Rube Goldberg setup here. Um, so here I am. It's Friday afternoon. It is getting dark here in Seattle. And I've been waiting all week for this because I really want to take a look at a couple of things I'm working on and make decisions. Um, so on one, the piece is completed and knitted, and there really isn't anything I need to change, but I thought I would go through it with you and you can see like how I review my work. Um, so this is the Chios cowl. It hasn't been published yet. Technical issues. Okay, so this is the sample that I originally made. This one is worked from the bottom up, and I have another sample not close. Oh, here it is, um, which is the same thing but worked top down. Um, the yarns are very similar. They're both lace weight. This one has merino in it, and although I think I did approximately the same number of rounds, you can see that this one blocked out much longer than this one. And when I did the samples, I do not think that I know I did not have a swatch of the mesh in this one. And so it could be that I did a different. Now it looks like they're about the same number of rounds. Of course, I could count it. I tried to do them exactly the same. Anyhow, got a much different result. It's because of the fiber, not because of anything else. If they're off like one or two rounds. So then I decided that I should do one in a different weight because I had come up with a couple of things, which is the reason why the pattern hasn't been released. So we are at the time of day that people are walking around. So soon everyone who lives in the nearby apartment complex will be out walking their dogs. I think people are done with work, and so they may be jogging. There's a young man in shorts. Some people are walking up to the park. It just gets very active, and I'm usually not standing here, so I get distracted. Hey, Lucinda. But so this, I did a swatch. It's a single ply superwash merino, and so this is actually the way it goes. This is the neckband gauge. This is the mesh, and then this is for the bottom tiers. So I'm going to pull my dress form in here, and I think we're going to have to move this. She's not as, I tried to move her. I don't want to do that. Because I was trying to avoid the light, but I think I may have to just pick this up. And let's see. I can't see if I dyslexia. Jesus, I just want to turn the camera. How do I do that? Oh, maybe it's there. Keeps just giving me my keyboard, which I don't want. Okay, so I can't really see. Here's, the light is really bad there. Okay, so here is the solution. um, the unblocked cowl, and I used different numbers and did different numbers of rows, and you can see here that it starts getting longer in the back. So all of the versions have, there you go, and it kind of swoops down. I think look from the side. Um, so I wanted it to really have this um, accentuated curve in the back. Um, so that's what I did. And I quite frankly just love it. Um, and I always look at things before I actually wet block them because it's easier to take it out before that. And this is, we can now take this off here. Um, so this is the bottom, and there's two tiers. So there's some seed stitch in between them, and the bottom is done on a larger needle than the top. And so I only have the top because I was too lazy to swatch the other one. But it's much looser once it's blocked. So the stitch in this, now dogs are barking. There's a trio of twisted stitches, and it really, kind of pulls everything together when you're knitting, and then it really relaxes when you wash it. So that's good. Um, the mesh doesn't open up a tremendous amount, but it gets much more even. You can see here that it looks what I call crunchy, like things aren't really flattened out. So here is where I joined yarn. I have to go back in and fasten that in. Um, and, when you're working in the round, there's really no perfect place to add yarn. I always work around flat before I join because I'm not good at joining. So I need to work my hands in there. And as I was playfully tugging at this, I found a drop stitch. So again, I'm just going to tie it in. I am certainly not at this point. Can you see how it dips down in the back? Isn't that cool? So I just did that with German short rows. So I'm very pleased with this. And this is a sweater the yarn is from a sweater that I undid, and can't really ever predict how the yarn is going to play out. And so there is some pooling that's darker, but I think it's okay. So that's ready to be wet blocked. And then, of course, I'll steam block it. So another project I'm working on, that's the neckband. And you can't really see it, but it's got this closed cable on it. Maybe if I put it here. And can you see that better? Yeah, you can see. And then the body of the shawl is this lace, garter lace, and like here where the blue is where I inserted short rows to get the bottom wide enough to drape around the body. Okay, so I did this before in a worsted weight yarn. So now this is, it's probably a fingering. I don't think it's quite lace. And you work in this direction. And so I'm increasing stitches as I pick up along the neckband And then every once in a while, I add in some short rows so that the bottom will be wide enough to go around the shoulder, and arm. So this yarn is merino and linen, I think, and I like the way it drapes. Um, yeah, it's nice. So then I did another swatch, um, where I thought, what if somebody wants a larger piece or they're working in finer yarn? And so this neckband would look too puny. Um, so I did this up here. I did a pair of cables going up so that it has a much wider neckband. And again, I think it's pretty cute. Um, this yarn is merino and linen. And I'm probably going to make it out of this one just because I like the yarn better, but I also love this yarn. And I didn't have a different color, so I put in short rows that are at the bottom that wide. And where's the other one? This one I did because I have more stitches, I could do more short rows. So it's like twice as wide here. And if I continue to add stitches, the short row things will get wider, which means that you can get this nice drape from the fabric. And I started out on both of my samples or both of my swatches and in my other sample with just, there's this cool trim that starts with 3 stitches. So there's 3 stitches. The pattern repeat is 12 stitches. And then there's the picked up stitch. And sometimes I'm picking up, or not sometimes, all the time, I'm picking up and using that pickup to add a stitch. So it keeps getting wider and wider. And it's really kind of fun to work because you're only ever working this 12 stitch repeat. Gets a little tricky in the short rows. And you can probably see that there's some interruption in some of the patterning, but like literally you would have to be studying it to see it, and nobody's going to notice it when you're wearing it. So I'm kind of in love with these, but so I can, if I do it in this silk one, which also has pretty good drape to it. So then all I have is this blue. You may or may not know that I don't like blue, but I always try and make myself, and I'm wearing blue today, but this is like kind of a washed denim color. I call it cornflower. This is called, it's called Sea Breeze. It's from Anzula, lovely yarn, but then I'd have to knit the whole thing in blue. Whereas this one, I don't have enough yarn, so I'm going to have to ask the yarn company to give me some so I can choose a color that I like or a color they like and hope it's not blue. So that's where I am on that project. And if I had time, I would knit them both because I like them both in terms of the fabric that they're creating. But so, these have been hanging on my dress form just so that I can think about them. I am not at all opposed to this wider neckline, or neckband. And I was really thinking of because I'm always thinking about the bodies that are wearing things. It's time to move over. Um, that for somebody who's larger, like, you might not want this narrower neckband. You might want something that was more in proportion to your body. And, especially if you're somebody who's got, like, a big bust, and so, you're already presenting a lot to the world, and then to have something tiny is not quite right. So, I don't mind that neckband at all. I think the one thing I might think about, which would allow me to make it a little bit narrower, would be to and the reason I didn't do it is because this has GSRs in some of these spaces here. Um, okay, okay, so you can see there's like 4 rows here, and then here I've put short rows in to create a curve that will fit nicely around the body. So I could take this and put this so the cables were offset, but I think that would screw with my short rows. So that may not be possible because I'm trying to make things not too complicated so I can put them in the pattern. Okay, so that's that. And the last thing that we'll critique, and I may have to reassemble this, it's been down on the couch and I've been making adjustments to it. Okay, so I think it'll be faster to just. So this is based off Christine Guest's color conduit shawl. So you make these long strips and then you have these joining stitches that are just drop stitches. Um, so I put GSRs in mine, German short rows, because I wanted it to fit around the neck. And make sure I've got this this way. Okay. And so somewhere there's a little design, but I'm not sure. Is that it? I don't know whether you can see that, but that's kind of what I'm going for here. So this comes around and is going to cross over like that. Okay. So I had to shorten this one because I changed how I had the colors sitting next to each other. I started with this orange that I'm trying to access from my little heap of knitting here. So this one I originally had in this position, and I felt like the colors worked better when I put this in between. So this is going to go like that. Pin these two together. And again, wrap around. And I think I'm going the wrong way. So the goal is to kind of have a line here and wrap this around. So this one I had to lengthen because it was too short, but now I may have made it too. Okay, so I don't want them to all be the same length. So I'm going to put this around And let's see. And I want them to have kind of this woven feel. So this I will need to pull back to about there. And let's join these up again. Okay. And then this is the last one. And holding stitches on that. Okay, so it appears to be the end, but it's all those stitches, but it's been blocked, so they won't come around. And then this one will go like this. Okay, I see the problem here. I see a problem. We'll see. Join that. Okay, so I still haven't gotten the lengths right. Good. And let's see, which way is this curving? Goes around. So my dress form's shoulders are quite wide because the arms are just added onto the dress form, which is already like shoulder. So that will sit like that. Oh, I see what my problem is. Okay, so this is going to be the pointy end. So this is can't really tell which is the right side. Okay, I think this one is. So, okay, so what I can tell already is that you can always use a double point needle as a pin. The orange one is not the right length. And I may want to make so this needs to come around like that. And it would go, this should have this under there. And then it would go over that and under this. You can see why measuring's been a problem. Okay, so, and this orange should be as long as this. So this one is not long enough. And I'm okay with how long this one is, but then this isn't long enough because this should sit like that and come over that. And so I can pull the orange down a bit. But anyhow, I quite like the whole look of the thing. And let's see, things are always like popping up, and I can't see what you guys can see. So I need to do some actual serious measuring. I've been just fiddling around with this, but I think it's kind of cute right now because these have not been joined. They just look like a fucking mess, but they won't. So what you do is you kind of crochet these together. And I think you go like this, and you pick up there. It's quite easy to do, but I have to be looking at the instructions. Anyhow, so it will have a little bit of space in between. You can't see because of the big fat hand. They'll be connected and not looking quite so loopy and insane. But I need to add length to, looks like everything but the orange. And if I shift this over, this will probably be long enough to stick out of there. So this is one of the reasons I don't like doing things with lots of pieces, because it becomes really, and I don't have a pattern. I'm just winging this. So Christine's shawl is just a rectangle. I shouldn't say just a rectangle. Christine's shawl is a rectangle. And I love the technique, but I didn't want it as a rectangle. So this is what I came up with. And I still love the technique. And I, the yarn colors are not the best. And so I think what I have to think about at this point is, do I bail on this color combination? This is all I have of this yarn. And, oh, thank you, Lucinda. So this is, well, let me finish that thought. So do I bail on this and just reknit it in something more pleasing, some colors that are more pleasing, or I could do it all in one color. I got a lot of the yarn. So this cowl that I'm wearing is, I believe this is called Path to Maori. And it's in the pattern tailor, so you can do it in any size or any gauge. So this is, this is my, so this color, not red and not orange. I think between red and orange. So it's just not quite right. But so this is quite a large Mobius cowl. And this is alpaca, I believe. Yes, it's alpaca that I bought in Australia because I love the color and I wanted to buy some yarn. Didn't need any yarn. Was it in Australia? No, it was in New Zealand. And I couldn't find any good local yarn. So I knew this company, and that I could get more in the US if I decided. So this is, it's got this drop stitch, and then I think there are 36 of these tiny buttons on it. And on the back of each button, find a better example here. So every place there's a button, on the back of it, there are 3 beads, which I sewed on because there was no way to hide the yarn ends. And it was a pain in the butt, but once I get, so it actually, is like that. I usually tie a knot in it to shorten it up a little bit. But I didn't want to have that big lump today. So every day I wear some sort of jewelry pin on my front. I started doing that back in the early 80s, like maybe 84, 85. I went to a fundraiser. Many of Mitch's clients were nonprofits. And so we were always going to fundraisers. And it was the first fundraiser I went to with him. And so I just took the 2 opposing ends, and my friend Nancy gave me this pin, and I just put the pin on it. So it just created a different look, and you can turn this so it looks like a collar if you want. Um, but so I bought the only thing I could afford was a design student. I had no money. So, but there was a silent auction, and I, wanted to be a good date, so I wanted to buy something. And there was a pin, and, which I still wear, that I think it was $20, which I felt like I could somehow swing. I think Mitch ended up buying it for me, but so I had this pin, and, women used to wear pins, and yeah, all of the knitting is done by my own hands or by somebody's hands who I've paid to do it. So women always wore pins up here, and, I just thought that was so horrid. So I just put it, like, right below my neckline on my front, and I'm pretty flat-chested, and I just started wearing a pin, and I had found other things to wear, and, by the time I was teaching at the fashion college, I had, like, a collection of 20 pins, and I always wore something on my front, and the other instructors called it the Jill position. 'Cause no and so they'd say, like, "I'm wearing my pin wearing this in the Jill position." But mostly jewelry makers don't make a lot of pins, so, I'm always on the lookout, and, I'm kind of wanting a new pin, but I haven't been out to look. So, and then my dilemma is, do I put the pin on my knitwear, or sometimes I wear it in addition to whatever I put on my knitwear. So sometimes I would have a pin here as well. That's my jewelry story. I think I now have 30 pins and a few in the broken jewelry collection. So, anyhow, um, what I really wanted to show you was that, despite everything, there always has to be a point at which you critique your work. And whether you're a hobby knitter or, um, like me, a professional, you have to make a choice. You have to decide whether something looks the way you want it. And of course, unlike sewing, we can actually take ours apart. So up. Mm, so we're gonna take that off, and I just have this scarf sitting here, so I'll wrap this around and, um and not everybody has a dress form standing by to help, but see how where is it over here? You can see that I didn't switch the colors, I switched the stitch to get the stitches to pop differently. So I have I can create a lot of interest just in how I put this together. So I can, do something like that, which is very stylish but conservative looking. Okay, so now something interesting happened here. I got a knot, and so I'm going to, and I picked up a pin, um, pull the ends through the knot, and this through. So that was just fiddling around, and I will indeed spend a couple of minutes in front of the mirror, um, trying to decide how I want things to look, and I like to try and find different things. But, yeah, so depending upon how I'm going to wear something, or how it's gonna be photographed. I can get lots of different, um, looks. Uh, this bottom is kind of interesting, so I just did the opposite. So if I was purling, then I did these last 4 stitches as knits, um, because I have to change color, and so I either have to drag the yarn up with me, um, and up the side like that, or I have to work in the ends. So that just gave me a place to do that. As you've seen, I just happen to have 3 other versions of this. I really like knitting this. So this one is, um, like a sock yarn and this mohair, and then I did these little corkscrews at the end, which I turned into, like, little flowers, and some of them have beads in them. So, like that one. And then this one I did with this is DK White. You can see the colors that I love. Um, so it's the same as the orange and green one with the color change, and but it's got a more interesting this again has these corkscrews, and then I put little baubles in the center, and then I decided that I would so this may have been the first one that I made, I think it was, and my dress form frequently wears more than one item. Um, so this one has my little bullions, which I love to make, but I had to add this green trim on because I didn't have any place to work in my ends. It looked a little rough. Um, so I just added that. But so that's the sort of thing that, like, I'm looking for when I put things on my dress form. And oftentimes it takes me a couple weeks to figure out exactly how I'm going to finish something. And so we'll just completely pile on here. And I often think that the finishing is the key. It's the thing we all hate to do because it's so important. So if you get it wrong, then you have to take it out again. Um, but like looking at that piece, um, I'm actually thinking that maybe, even though I love this orange, um, that maybe I should bail on the orange and make another piece out of one of the other 2 colors. Um, because with all of the woven and the loops, it kind of feels like I've got too much going on. And so she said with her 14 bracelets, um, just need to tone it down a little bit. Was it Coco Chanel who said, always create your outfit and then take away one thing? So I'm kind of thinking I maybe need to knit a different color. And I do have lots of this yarn, so I could choose one of those 2 colors, or I may have something else over there. Um, and then if I do that, I will do it during the holiday, because I have other things to work on. So that's about it for me. It's we're still in health crisis here, and but we're having friends over for dinner tomorrow night. I'm making a turkey risotto, and I've been working on a cranberry tart. which is the recipe is great because you can do it in stages, which is how I really like to cook. And so I thought I would make it from the leftover cranberries from Thanksgiving, but we ate too much, and so I needed to make another pot of cranberries. And one of our guests is not a big dessert eater, so I wanted to make sure I didn't have too much sugar in it. And then the crust is made from gluten-free flour and flour from hazelnuts. It's not quite flour, which is very tasty. And so I did that, yes, last night, and I made the cranberries yesterday. And now I just have to make the curd. So add the eggs and a little bit of sugar. And then that will go in the oven and it will be ready. And then I'll make a salad. So a very simple meal. Um, I do have a couple little things that I'm planning to try for topping the risotto. So what's the problem with risotto is that I personally love it because I love the flavor, but it kind of doesn't have a lot of substance. And so I thought I would take some shallots and fry them so that they're crispy, and then take the leftover stuffing and fry it in some butter, um, like I do breadcrumbs for asparagus. I thought it would be really tasty, and then you can, like, add this crunch into your risotto so it doesn't all feel, so smooth and like you're not really biting into anything. So anyhow, Lucinda knows that I like to cook and I like to experiment. So that's going to be the experiment for tomorrow. And right now I'm thinking it's time to print out the rest of the document I've been working on and go down to the dining room table and work on some proofreading. And I will finish up my tart while we're listening to music and see what Mitch feels like for dinner. Um, so I never know. Last night I made a Spanish tortilla, um, potatoes and eggs, which was quite good. Anyhow, have a wonderful weekend. It is now dark here. The neighbors' outdoor lights have come on, and because of this light, I can't tell whether anybody's walking or not, so I'm not distracted. But the hummingbirds are done for the day, and we're supposed to have tons of rain. So Lucinda says Jill is a wonderful cook. The menu sounds fantastic. Ed and I will be over. Ed is her husband. So sadly, they live in a different state. But I did make dinner for them when they were up visiting my fair city. So that's it for me. And thanks for sitting in on my design critiques. I'm still mulling that woven piece. Oh, I wanted to show you. I have one other thing to show you. So I taught myself how to do Tunisian crochet. It actually goes like this, but this is going to be a flag. It's a Polish flag. And sadly, my yarns weren't exactly the same size. So I'm making this for Mitch's desk because he just got approved as a Polish citizen. And but it needs to be blocked. I'm a little afraid that the red, which is Malabrigo, is going to bleed quite badly. So I think I'll just steam block it. And then I've been working on this pattern. And while I don't think it looks exactly like, um, the pattern that I'm following, I think I got a little creative here. Um, I like how it looks, so, um, but I think I need to rip back a couple rows and figure out where I got creative. Um, and so it's just an opportunity for it actually looks pretty good when I look at it like that. So there is no schematic with the pattern. So I'm working this way, and I think the shawl is going to sit like that. I can't tell. I mean, because I have no idea where the beginning is. Um, so, that's one of my constant complaints. People think accessories don't need a schematic, but I have no idea where I'm going here, which means that I have to slavishly follow the instructions, although apparently I did not. So, but I've gotten confident enough that I can rip back and figure out where I am. So that's good. Um, and I think I'll just keep this as going to the doctor a lot. It's a good project to take with me. It does look like a pizza slice right now. I think it's just going to keep getting wider and wider. And I should look at the pattern. I can't recall if she shows the whole shape. But I always end up changing things when I buy other people's patterns because my brain just gets going. Anyhow, bye.